This thing is so heavy, it's insane. Why didn't I think of that? Welcome back to part 2 of the Lemon Cypress Hillside Forest project that I'm doing. Let's have a quick recap of the last video. As you'll remember, I went to B&Q and I found these Lemon Cypress for a £5 each. The only adjustments I've made to the pot that you saw me make in the last video is I put extra ventilation around the top rim of the pot. So now I've got 5 Lemon Cypress trees, a custom pot, and the confidence of a man who absolutely should have been supervised. Because apparently I can't buy one tree like a normal person. Before I prune down any of the trees to the size I want them, what I need to do first is build up the different layers. Now on the bottom, I just want good drainage. As you can see, I've got this piece here in the pot there to try and retain some of the media as it comes uphill, so it doesn't end up flowing down. So I thought I would start off with the media I removed from the compost that I got from Greenwood Bonsai. The compost was really full of other media. It's what looks like slate. And I'm thinking this is probably the best place to start on the bottom. What I don't want to do is fill the whole thing up with akadama and pumice. It's incredibly expensive. So I've got some slate. I'm going to build it out in places so that, because the roots aren't going to be all the way down here. I'm going to build it out so it doesn't use up as much material, substrate even. I'm going to start off with just a layer on the bottom. I've already washed this through, so it shouldn't be too dusty. See? Bring it so you can look down. So yeah, we get a base layer down first. So this, I'm sure this is a mixture of slate and maybe a little bit of pumice stone, but not a lot. That's fine. What I was thinking about with the slate was having something poking out as the hillside comes down. Like so. So I need to build up in this area so that I can support that. They look nice. With a bit of a drop off down to the green here. Yep, okay, I like that. Might put something else in up here. Maybe, because there's going to be a tree here. Maybe something a bit higher. I don't know. Let's just keep filling. Start filling out some space, I think, with smaller pieces of slate to try and bulk it out. That's the idea of these, is to kind of try and retain things. Trying to decide whether I think I should wash this through now. I'd already washed it, but it's still really dusty. Well, it's worth washing through now, or do I wait till I've got the akadama and do everything in one? That used a lot more of this slate than I was expecting it to. So what I've done is I kind of knew that I was going to have to fill a few areas in anyway with some extra media. So I got some horticultural pink grit. Here's a picture of it, and it's pH neutral. Okay, and I'm going to fill in the areas here just to build up slightly, because I've still got I want it coming right up to the top here, so I've got to build up more first. What is becoming apparent is how heavy this thing's going to be. I can deal with that. Remembering at the front here, it's going to be like a meadow with the moss. So actually all that's growing here is moss. So it doesn't need a huge amount of media, actual growing media, not like the trees do, I don't think. And what I want to do now is actually get the first layer of macadamia down, but then I've got to leave room for trees. That's a good place to leave that until I've got the trees ready. So let's do that now. All of these are too big for this in their current state. I knew that when I got them, and I've actually had these a month. They're too big. Not too big, but they need trimming. So I'm not unpotting them yet. What I want to do is start to trim back to get some trunk lower down, and then maybe shape them a little bit to make them smaller, and then we'll decide which one's going where. Might keep it just in case I can do. I'm not sure. Can you propagate them? Oh, it smells amazing. Do want quite high trunks, so I'm not too worried about taking these off low down, he says. Because, you know, they're going to be poking out, so you should have trunk. It's a forest. I'm not trying to put this into some amazing bonsai shape. All I'm trying to do is reduce it down a bit. I don't know what I'm doing. Just trying to figure it out. It's the best way to learn. You know, I've got to be thinking what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to keep this conical shape, but it is going to have to be kept under control quite regularly. So I'm not too worried about going too crazy now. I've heard these come back quite easily. I've never done this before. It's going to go wrong on some, I know it is, but you know, I think it will recover and it will be part of what this is. Fun, hopefully. That's the new leader. So I can then trim these down to that. I'm not really intending to wire these. I may wire the shape of the trunk, but not. I want them to stay some kind of conical shape. I don't want to overthink this. Okay. That's a good start for one. Let's see what happens with the rest of them. Basically, now we're at a point. I'm just going to unpot each of these and have a look, see what we're actually dealing with. Okay. We'll get rid of that long root. I think we'll start with that one up there and get a tie down on it. I need one that's got flat roots, this one, because this one is going uphill, like so. some of that off. I'll get used to doing this wire at some point. Won't waste it. That is them all in place. I'm happy with where they are. What I really need to do now is start pushing fine macadamia all around the base of the roots. I've been watering this as I've been going, so hopefully it won't draw up too much moisture in one go. Just using this to get a base layer, a thinner layer, make sure I'm getting it all around the roots properly. And then I'll go the coarser stuff on top. That's them. Now, let's get the coarser stuff. Hope I've got enough. I think I have. And what this is desperate for is water. Lots of it. Now, a thin layer, sphagnum moss. This is finely grated. Well, not finely grated, but I've grated it down. What we're going to do is just to seal that in, because what we're going to do is then put moss over the top of this. I haven't got enough to do this whole area, but over time it will spread, I believe. It did on the other plant anyway, on the other acer. There you go, look, just putting a thin. So I'm actually now putting this voiceover in edit here, because what I decided was I was adding this moss and it was leaving lots of patches and I wasn't happy with it, and it was going to take forever to end up looking as I wanted it to. So I thought a lot about it and I decided that there was one other way. That's to cheat. So I got online, as I do always, you've probably noticed, and I bought some moss. This crate was actually a double layer of moss. There's so much in there. I cut a lot of the backing moss off, and laid it down, as you can see here. This might work, it might not. I know I'm going to have to keep it dampen out of the sun, really, direct sun. This is how it's been now for a week. I made the mistake of leaving, we've had some insanely hot weather here in the UK, and this was in the direct sunshine in 36 degrees heat, and even I know that moss doesn't like that. So, as I'm not happy with this anyway, the whole point of this was to be on a hillside, and because of the moss, it's really not like that, and a lot of this slate is hidden. So, I'm going to remove this here, excavate, and put back in lower down to create more of a hillside and expose more of this slate. It would be good though to get an idea of how wet it is down there. So I've got to be careful of some roots there, but I'll make sure they're buried down. They seem to be doing okay. Now this is all really a lot lower, so the moss will come up to about there, and it'll expose a lot more of the rock, and I think that's going to give the effect I want. be another hot day today, so I'm going to make sure this is kept out of direct sunlight under the veranda. That's where I want the bottom to be, that low. That's better. Lots more of the rock. It's in there, we may as well see it, it's weighing the thing down. Is what I'm doing here completely counterproductive, cutting off the bottom of moss to lay it back down on moss? Tell me. It's starting to feel a little counterproductive. That's what I wanted. More of a slope down. Look at that. That's much better. That's it. Let's get some water on it. And this is actually where it's living. For now, in this weather, the weather's ridiculously hot. It's under the veranda, look. It's in the shade. Really pleased that I've lowered that front section down. It's done. It's shown more of that slate, and it seemed pointless hiding the big lump of that slate, and I wanted it to be a hillside. The Lemon Cypress, I'm going to leave them be. I'm not going to trim them at all now, not for a few months. Just let them settle, but really, really happy with this drop off now. It's more of a hillside. The moss, I don't know how it's going to get on. Hopefully I can keep it going, and hopefully I've given it an environment that it can survive on. But time's only going to tell, isn't it? So I'll keep you updated on that. It's been a great project. If you've enjoyed watching it and you'd like to see more projects like that, let me know in the comments. Apart from that, I'll leave you with these final views of the hillside I've created. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.